And I think that shocked a lot of people, like, wow, these guys are getting ready to do something really big. And I have to tell you, at the time, the quality of the Warsaw and the screenshots they were showing was among the best stuff that was out there. I mean, we're still talking, you know, 2007 Fly Tampa quality. So, I mean, that's just how good it was. And obviously I was very shocked, but I knew it was going to be really well done. And the reason why I knew that was because looking at the quality of their smaller projects at the time and just how well it was done, there was just no doubt in my mind that they were going to totally kick ass creating Warsaw. So I started following the project, checking it every day. Basically what I do today, checking websites every day for news. But at the time, I was not a part of Air Daily X. In fact, Air Daily X did not even exist back then. And so it was already a part of my morning routine to get up and start, you know, checking all the developments going on. And so Drzewiecki design was really one of those that was high on my radar. But then at some point, previews just stopped rolling through and the preview thread sort of disappeared. And I was really disappointed. And as it turns out, and Stan might be able to correct you guys since he's watching live as well, but I believe what happened there was they had some sort of hard drive failure or something happened and they essentially lost the files. And I know for them that had to have been really, really tough to deal with. I can only imagine. I mean, just think about the amount of work that goes into creating these projects and then everything gets lost. And let's say you're already probably 80% through it. And then everything is just sort of gone overnight. And I imagine that was definitely a striking blow for the development team. And, you know, I guess I always hoped that they were going to go back and do it again in the future. But I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. And I wasn't sure if they would ever go back and do it again, only because the amount of work of going back and starting something all over from scratch. That said, that happening to them obviously was a good thing. Number one, it was a good thing because whatever went wrong that time, I'm sure they've taken steps to make sure something like that never happens again. But number two, intermittently it allowed them to continue to progress on their development techniques and their skill levels in order to, at some point later on down the line, create an even better version than what they had done before. Nevertheless, I was definitely heartbroken that Warsaw was gone, and I had looked forward for so many years for it to happen. And then about 2 years ago, or has it been 3 years already? It might have been 3 years already, that Drzewiecki announced once again that they were returning to Warsaw, and I was very, very happy about it. And so that long, incredibly long wait has finally come to an end. It is in my hands, and believe it or not, I am trying very hard to curb my enthusiasm. The only project that I have waited this long to get, essentially, is the CRJ, which basically started the same year the first version of Warsaw started. So Drzewiecki has delivered. The CRJ, not yet. We are still waiting. Taking a look at the cars, these parking lots here, you have these lorries or semis, if you will. Lots and lots of cars in the parking lots. Ooh, I like the textures on that that off-ramp or roadway bridge there. Very nice. And we are now over at the cargo section. I've always loved these trucks that that these guys have done. When I was a kid, I used to collect. There was I don't remember what the name of the company was, but there was a company, like I played with Hot Wheels as a kid. I really loved Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels was my shit growing up. Obviously, long before I had discovered flight simulation. But I grew up on Hot Wheels, and there was one particular company that created little semi-trucks or lorry trucks. They were not the same scale as Hot Wheels, though. They were slightly smaller. They were large, but they should have been larger in comparison to the Hot Wheels scale. But nevertheless, I was a truck collector, and I always had some form of HO scale train set. So those were the things I collected as a kid. So whenever I see those trucks in Drzewiecki design sceneries, I always think about those trucks I used to collect. Additionally, whenever I see animated trains, that's why I'm a sucker for stuff like that. Kind of brings me back to my childhood. And those trucks are all very well done, by the way. So just taking a look at a couple of aircraft here lining up for departure. Taking a look at some of these runway textures here, you can see some of the cloud shadows on the terrain along with that lovely, lovely vegetation in the background, which really, really makes the scenery. Of course, as I pan around again, you can see that it takes these some of these objects a second to load again. So this little part I'm still trying to figure out. Coming up on the cargo section now. Ramp side. Textures all very well done. It looks like photoreal. I could be wrong. We have plenty of ramp and static objects here cluttering the gate and ramp areas. I might need to turn off some of this AI here. In fact, I have the AI at maximum, which is not a very good thing. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to turn that down because I can see that's probably why. I think that AI is probably spiking my memory a little bit here. Give me just a moment. I'm just going to turn that down. That's just a little bit too high. Additionally, I think, I really do think that the two sceneries are clashing with each other. Give me just a second here. Sorry. Ooh, that was like not a good landing there. Sorry about that. I'm going to switch over to my desktop. Just a second. I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to just remove Warsaw from the scenery library because I feel like these two are not fully compatible with each other just yet. And I see there's a lot of chats going on over there, and I will try to do my best to catch up to that. Just browsing through some of your comments while we wait for the scenery to load again. I think the city and the airport together are just not quite getting along. The city was released, by the way, I believe that was like 2 years ago. So quite naturally, the compatibility is just not there yet. And I think that's probably why I'm getting not the best out of the two together at the moment. Oh, okay. So I'm just going through the comments here, and Stanislaw is saying that the scenery, the city scenery that I'm showing is actually, I guess they're making a new one from scratch. So that's actually good to know. So I've taken that part out now. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was getting an update or if you guys were releasing a new one from scratch. So according to Stanislaw, the new one is actually way better. So there's actually a whole new Warsaw coming along. Okay, so that is good to know. And my frames per second actually shot up too once I disabled the city scenery. So that's also a good thing. So I'm just going to keep through these comments really quickly because I know I threw a lot of questions out there. Sorry, give me just 1 second. I'm just going to catch up on these comments to see what because I know I asked quite a few questions here. Okay, so at least now we know the And Sen does say I'll probably get an out-of-memory error having those two together. So at least now we know what the problem was. It was definitely adding the scenery, but I had to. After that, the national anthem, I had to fly over the city. That was just a must. All right, so we know for a fact, do not include the old Warsaw City and the airport together, because that's just not going to work out. For anyone who was thinking about doing that, now you know not to. And there will be a whole new version of Warsaw coming along, so actually I'm really excited about that too. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Getting underway here again. I feel like I should probably restart the simulator here only because the Warsaw City really did suck up quite a bit, and I know that's probably still kind of affecting my performance now that it was there and now that it's not. You know what? If you guys want to bear with me for just a second, I'm going to go ahead and actually, wait a minute. Let me switch back over into prepared mode because I think that's why I'm getting those stutters. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. So yes, finally it happened and they delivered on it. And again, I'm really just super excited about it. The quality, like I said before, is the best I think they've ever done. And yeah, you know what? I need to restart the simulator. I can see now the VAS is kind of spiking a little bit once I had that scenery in there. I really don't want to show this off in a negative light, so I'm going to restart the simulator really quickly. I know that takes a minute if you guys just want to bear with me for just a moment. Because I can see having that there and now having removed it, it's not being very friendly. I'm just going to restart that really quickly. Yeah, I guess that wasn't a good idea to do that. I should have tested that last night. And then when I woke up in the morning, I thought, wait a minute. No, we've got to throw Warsaw in there. I knew there'd be some incompatibility, but I didn't think it was gonna jack me up that bad. So apologies, folks. This allowed me to catch up on some of the comments anyway. See, some of the usuals are in here. Rolio, how's it going? I think I saw Valley Deer in there somewhere, who flies with us online every now and then. Someone else says there the last time they flew in an EPWA was in FS 2002. Did someone make an EPWA for FS 2002? And of course, the great thing about living near an airport like that is you can get the best quality in terms of pictures of the airport. You can definitely see the level of accuracy is really, really good. Los Angeles. Yes, this is Warsaw, Los Angeles we're looking at today. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Give me just 1 second. I have to select a flying vehicle because that's what Lockheed Martin calls them. As opposed to calling them sim objects, I guess. All right, let's go find my trusty MD-902 again. There we go. That's actually right. Stan also posted a link there to the Grass Textures HD. You know, I keep forgetting to install that. A lot of developers nowadays include their own custom grass in their sceneries now. And that's actually freeware too. So if anyone wants a nice grass added to your airport that's sharp, that's definitely something I'd recommend. Oh, Stan says he would have sent the new version. Stan, what the heck? Send it anyway. Let's load it up. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. My apologies. I really should have tested that before getting ahead of myself and throwing that in there. Okay. There we go. That's much better. All right, so we are back once again. Sorry about that. I guess that really wasn't a very good idea for me to include that like that. But what can I say? It's Warsaw. You gotta have You gotta have the city in there. Gonna come over here and take a look at the control tower. And all the modeling is very well done, by the way. It's always fun. You know, few developers nowadays are showing their progress early on. A lot of developers are electing to wait, you know, until the scenery is probably like, you know, a few weeks or a month away from release. What's going on with my helicopter skills today? But it's always fun to be able to see some of these objects early on. And I remember looking at some of the early renders of this very unique looking control tower building here. And it's always nice to be able to see over time how it becomes nothing but an object in an editing program. And then in the end, actually being able to see it in the simulator in real life. It's really, really an amazing thing to be able to follow something from beginning to end. And here you have the control tower. Everyone is in here working. There's a guy there with some binoculars there as well, keeping an eye on things. So very interesting control tower. Nice big windows too. Most modern control towers, I don't think, are that have windows that are that large and is that spacious. Very lovely looking building there, and that's probably photoreal as well. Very realistic. And photoreal in many cases is definitely still the way to go. Especially considering if it's very high resolution textures, which essentially Drzewiecki design has become famous for, is their very high resolution photoreal texture applications. And they do it extremely well. Taking a look at the fire station here. Very good looking fire truck there. I remember back in the mid days of FS9, you know, it was all you know, everything that we got payware wise was either in the US or Western Europe. And I guess the reason for that is because that's just where people either perceived the largest communities for flight simulation were either located, or people just felt that that's just, that's the only thing that's going to sell. And back then, Aerosoft was really the largest. I mean, they're still very, very big, but the likes of Orbix didn't exist back then. But Aerosoft at the time, they were the #1 website to go to for all new developments. Because back then there was really only a few separate developers that did not release their products through Aerosoft, like the Cloud9 or Fly Tampa. There was just a few. There really weren't a whole lot. But most developers released all their stuff through Aerosoft. Nowadays, you have so many independent developers like Taxi to Gate, Latin VFR, and Imagism, and a lot of these others that sell on their own. But actually, Imagism has been around for a long time. But nowadays, there's so many different development companies. I mean, it's too many to list. But back then, pretty much almost, I'd probably say 85% of developers sold their products through Aerosoft. So that was kind of the go-to. And when you went and looked at the Aerosoft pages, it was pretty much always either something in the US or always Western Europe. That pretty much got all the attention. So definitely you had Germany that was always at the top of the list, followed by France. You had UK 2000, you still do. They sold their projects on their own. But Simwings essentially sold all their stuff through Aerosoft. So essentially between Simwings and the German airports team, they had pretty much all of Western Europe pretty much sewn up. Simwings took care of mostly France and Spain and pretty much all of Scandinavia, really, with their Scandinavian airports projects way back in the day. And actually, Simwings is what I'm referring to when they started trying to get into doing that photo reel. And it was really, really low resolution, really low quality back then. But they all sold their stuff through Aerosoft. And you really didn't find anything for Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe was just like a dead zone. You had a really good freeware Prague airport, but essentially anything for Eastern Europe that you'd find back then was all freeware. You could go on avsim.ru, I think, which is some of the best freeware out there, and you'd find a lot of stuff for Russia and stuff like that, which you still can, by the way, and it's some very, very good stuff. But essentially, Eastern Europe was just always ignored, and I could never really figure out why. It's like, okay, we have almost every airport in Germany, we have most of the airports in France, but no one's doing anything in Eastern Europe. So we've seen something of an insurgence of European sceneries. Fly Tampa always had that Vienna, which is good, but I mean, I don't know if I don't know how much we'd consider Vienna as being part of Eastern Europe or maybe on the border there, but we always had Vienna, but that was pretty much it. So Drzewiecki, I think, sort of led the charge for that. We did have some really good stuff for like Croatia, some old some market projects and stuff like that. But I think Drzewiecki really sort of led the charge, and now we sort of have this renaissance of developers really focusing on Eastern Europe now, as recently as Orbix. Orbix, as a matter of fact, released a small airfield in the Czech Republic. So Eastern Europe is finally have gotten its day, and if you have not checked out any of the other Polish airports packages, I have written reviews on almost all of them. I think I have reviews on all of them. So definitely make sure you check those out, because those have some really, really good quality stuff. And the interesting thing about Poland is I'm not sure what the growth is there right now, but Poland has so many new airports either in development or that has been recently completed. I mean, it's really putting a lot of Western Europe and especially the U.S. to shame. I mean, you should see, if you haven't looked into it, there's a website I like to frequent called Skyscraper City, and I think these are statics, huh? These are really good quality statics. It's called Skyscraper City, and you can go on there and you can actually follow all of these airports that are taking place in and around Poland, and it's incredible. So Drzewiecki Design has gotten a lot of them done. There's actually a few that I want that have not been done yet. I'm not sure if they're gonna be done or not, but definitely worth taking a look. So I don't know where they're getting all the money to build all these airports, but they are really, really impressive. And the recent extensions to Warsaw, really, it's just a part of that. So we are now finally main terminal side here. And finally getting a look at the quality of the main terminal. And honestly, everything here, in my opinion, is 10-10. I just have one little, I don't want to say it's a gripe. Santa's like, uh-oh, here we go. He's going to nitpick something. The only thing here is, and I was kind of looking at this last night, is that it's just sort of hard to see the glass. I know it's there. If you get really close to it, you can see that there is some sort of like, you can see some of the specular shine on the glass, but it's so subtle. And actually, let me just go into, because I'm moving the helicopter around too much. But it's subtle. So if I go across like that, you can see the glass is there. If I move in like that, you can see sort of the texture reflection on the glass. So you can definitely see it's there. But if you're from like the cockpit and you move further back, at least in my opinion, it's hard to see the glass. It's hard to know it's there. So I think it could definitely use some more of that sort of specular mapping, or, you know, some more of that dynamic shine effects, or maybe even a slight tint to it, just so that it's more prominent. So that was really my only gripe with the scenery at all when I looked at it last night. It's just you can kind of see it, but it's so subtle that it's a little bit difficult, and it almost looks like there's no glass there at all. It's like someone just busted all the glass out. So that's really the only gripe that I have, is that I think that area could be improved just a little bit. But if we're going to talk about the internal modeling that's done here, and I'd have to think, because a lot of developers are doing internal modeling now, and I'm actually going to go ahead and go inside. I'm really trying to think here, because with the exception of probably Flightbeam, who is still working on their San Francisco, and I have yet to see that, but I think I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say that this is the best internal modeling I think I have ever seen. Flight Tampa certainly blew me away with Toronto. And the only unfortunate thing about Toronto, unfortunately, is the fact that for many of you flying larger airplanes, you probably had to turn off the internal modeling only because of the what's that? The performance around Toronto was just not very easy. You can see the glass on the inside is actually more noticeable looking at it from the inside than from the outside, which is interesting. But you look at a lot of like what Taxi to Gate's doing, and Taxi to Gate essentially isn't releasing an airport at all anymore without internal modeling. So, but all things considered, I think this is the best internal modeling I think I have ever seen. I mean, the level of detail here is great. Another one that comes to mind is Joe Erland, who just recently released Daytona, but his Oslo is really nicely done internal modeling wise. But this is definitely the best. I mean, a lot of people know that Flightbeam Denver is definitely one of my favorites, one of my all-time favorites. But the internal modeling there is even not this good, you know, and so that's why I can only make an exception for the upcoming San Francisco, because he's doing something completely new with San Francisco, and that's probably, you know, the only other thing that comes to mind just with what I've seen so far. But in terms of what's been released, Drzewiecki definitely raised the bar. Like, this is definitely the best I think I've ever seen. I mean, there are some developers out there that have done the photoreal or have done the internal modeling, but they don't add things like chairs, or they add things like chairs, or they don't add things like people. And I think I can't remember what product I was recently showing off, but someone came in the chat and said, you know, the internal modeling looks really great, but it's just missing the people. And so therefore it looks a little too empty. I think that was the Latin VFR Southwest Florida. And Latin VFR, of course, another developer that's recently getting into the whole internal modeling bandwagon. But I think people were saying it looks great, it just looks too empty. And in the case with Warsaw, I mean, this is exactly how it should look. The only thing that's missing really is just animated people. But you know, even the static people here, I mean, it just you can, when you pull up to the terminal, you can definitely see that there's something in there and there's something going on, and it just adds that much more immersion to it. Another thing I want to take a look at here is this static 787, because a lot of people were probably thinking this was part of the AI. No, it's not. This bad boy is static, and it might as well be AI because it looks really good. In fact, Drzewiecki might consider creating their own AI packages. That looks really, really good. You can see there he's added some strobe lights and navigation lights, lighting effects on there. And I'm not sure, is this Emirates? What is this over here? This is, I don't think that's static. I think that's part of the AI. But taking a look from here, and I am going to get into our airplane and actually taxi around and pull up to the gates. But just from this perspective, you can see the gates, but it's just not that noticeable. Now, another thing I'll point out about the internal modeling here as well that's definitely worth pointing out is when it came to taxi to gates Hong Kong scenery, a lot of people were disappointed that you couldn't actually see through the terminal from one end to another. There was sort of like this white wall that kept you from seeing all the way through the terminal. And the reason for that, and I know there's someone, I think maybe Rolly or someone can explain why they did it that way, but there's something to do with glass and clouds. And in Flight Simulator, clouds, they don't like glass, or it has something to do with how the glass is created. So essentially, when you look through one end of the terminal to another and you see the clouds sort of cancel out the glass and they kind of go straight through the terminal. It's a weird effect. If you remember the old Dream Factory Studios Brussels way back in the day when they created that new terminal, that was one of the very, very first generation internal modeling airports that we ever had in flight simulation. And we're talking, that thing was released like, what, 9 or 10 years ago? I think it's been 10 years, maybe even 11 years ago. Back then, no one was really doing internal modeling, and that was one of the very first, and that's one of the reasons why that airport really stood out for Dream Factory Studios. And of course, that was released under the Aerosoft brand. But the downside about that airport is, the clouds, if you had a cloudy day, the clouds would basically sit through the terminal. It was really weird, and it's kind of weird to explain. So anyway, that's a limitation that I know that Taxi to Gate is working with currently, and that's one of the reasons why they sort of have this white strip that goes kind of through the airport. And in fact, Flightbeam did something similar with Denver. So if you ever go to Denver, and you can see how good the internal modeling is, but if you were to go into the terminal like I'm doing here, you would not be able to see the outside. So you would not be able to see your aircraft or any AI or any other objects from the outside, because they had to do the same thing where you can see inside the terminal, but you cannot go inside the terminal and look out. And I think that's for the same reason. So I'm not sure how they've sort of changed that with the new version of San Francisco, but whatever the case, Drzewiecki has seemed to have figured out how to get beyond that barrier, because you can see from one side of the terminal through the other side and still see the clouds. And then on top of that, I think there's more glass on the inside of the terminal as well. I can't tell. I'm not sure if there's actually glass here or not. There should be. The new terminal that Los Angeles is done in the same way this is, where, for example, if you arrive at Zurich, when you arrive there, you go into the jet bridge, and then you go down some stairs, and then you're in the arrivals area, which is on a separate level. But here, you actually arrive above the main departure area, and then there's glass here that goes above. And that's kind of the way LA is done now. So essentially, there would be glass there. I don't think there's glass here, but that's really not a big deal. From the outside, it all looks the way it should. So just taking a look at that. And again, if this affects your performance, or, I know that there's a lot of people that just aren't really into the whole internal modeling thing, there definitely is an option in the initial installer where you can actually go in and remove that. But to date, I am happy to tell you that this is definitely the best internal modeling I've ever seen. Flight Tampa obviously did an extraordinary job with Toronto with their internal modeling as well. And I believe they added some people in there as well. But the only thing that really makes this better I don't want to say it has to do with the technique of the internal modeling. I think it just has to do with the actual airport itself. So Toronto doesn't really have, there's certain parts of Toronto that have large windows. But the way this was done here, and I think it has a lot to do with the design of the airport, I would say this is my favorite, leaving Toronto in second place for me. So that's extremely well done. You can see here the static aircraft also have the jet bridges connected, which is kind of why I like the way static aircraft is done here, is because if it's one thing about AI is they pull up to the gate, but you know, there's no service vehicles, there's no jet bridge pulled up to it. Now I know that that's a technology that's in development as well. Speaking of Eastern Europe, Prague, is it Ruzini now? I think they changed the name from Ruzini to something else. I think it's Harklov or something. I don't know. But anyway, oh whoa, what happened here? Is this the static Dreamliner? Did he move? Stan, can you explain this? Wait a minute. This is the static one, right? So, wait a minute. Are these statics, like, animated? Do they move around or what? What's going on here? That is weird. I thought that was static because my AI does not have strobe lights at the gate. I guess it's AI. I thought that was static. I could have sworn he added a static Dreamliner in here somewhere. Or maybe this is the one. Oh, this is the one here. Okay, there we go. That guy's not static. This guy is. Here we go. This is the static. I was like, wait a minute. Why is there flashing lights at the gate? I don't know. That whole thing threw me off. Well, if you take a look at the actual static one versus the AI version, now you can see here there's really not all that much of a difference. So I still maintain Drzewiecki, if they wanted to, they could create some really excellent AI packages because that looks really good. I got myself a little bit confused there. I'm like, I know there was a static one in there somewhere. There he is. Doesn't that look really cool with the jet bridges attached to it from the inside of the terminal? Very nicely done. So you have all these people in here and the luggage and the guy reading the newspaper. So really, in my opinion, by the way, I love the lot livery on the Dreamliner, by the way, too. That looks really nice. So really, the only thing that's missing from the inside, to be honest, is just animated people. That, in other words, I won't say that's the only thing missing. I'll say that's the only thing that one could do to enhance it. And I think that's one of the things that Yo Airlin did with Oslo, is I think that there are some animated people there that walk around. And I know every time I mention something else that a developer can add, people start to cringe. I'm like, come on, DeAndre, we don't need anything else here. It's going to kill performance and memory. Stop trying to give them ideas. You can see there's some animated vehicles there on the ramp. I saw some pink tugs there too, which are also very nicely done. So essentially, you know, I had a lot of things to point out about the Moscow airport. They haven't given me really anything to complain about this time around. I also like the skylights there. You can actually see down into the terminal. I mean, this is just so nicely done. Let's take a look at some of the night lighting. Let's see here, I'm going to pause that really quickly. And of course, we got to take a look at the winter textures. I'm trying to think if I have to adjust those separately, if they'll just adjust when I change. We're going to find out here in just a minute. Let's see here. And while I'm sitting here, let me just try to quickly backtrack to some of the comments here. See if there's anything for me. Amifate is saying that Bucharest is missing from Eastern Europe. There is actually, you know, I don't know if it's for FSX or not, but there is a company called, I think they were called Romanian Scenery Design. You might Google that. They actually did a really, really good Bucharest freeware. Actually, extremely well done. So sorry, my comments, my chat is on a separate computer, and when I'm flying around, it's kind of hard to look and see the comments in real time. So sorry if I'm falling behind on that. But we're going to change to some night lighting here. Hopefully doing it this way, everything will show up. I think so. So I have to kind of make sure I go back and catch up with the comments. So sorry about that. Let's see here. So now we can take a look at some of the night lighting here, which when I saw the previews initially, I was extremely impressed with. Drzewiecki. This is kind of a pet peeve area for me. Even if you go on top of the hotels, colors sort of jumped out at me over there. I don't think I have my car traffic on. That's actually a good question. So indeed, this version of Warsaw is far better than I could have ever asked for. I mean, it is just so well done. Let's take a look at these runway approach lights over here. All the taxiway signage is very bright, and even from up here I can actually read some of those taxi signs, which is really good. And here we have the custom runway lighting. Very nicely done there. So essentially the only thing that's missing really is just the city of Warsaw. In the beginning of the stream you could actually see those buildings in the background, and it actually looked really nice being able to have that skyline out in the back, out in the background for from the airport. That's very different, having these pink ground service equipment. That's definitely different. Pink and blue. And the way the terminal is lit at night as well is also really, really well done. So you can definitely, I can see the glass there. It looks a little bit more prominent at night, actually. You can see, so there's sort of a shine effect, like a, not a shine effect, but like a light refraction or something. That's sort of on the you know, sort of an effect that's on the glass that makes it easier to see at night. You can see that the glass is there. It has sort of like a color tint to it. So at night it's definitely more noticeable, but during the day, from certain viewpoints, it's a little bit hard to see. Maybe some more shiny stuff on it. I am definitely impressed. This just looks absolutely incredible. I can't believe it's finally here. I think the first flight I'm going to do will probably be in the Aerosoft A320. I'm thinking about doing a flight from Helsinki to Warsaw. I think that's going to be my inaugural flight. A-Flight Helsinki, those guys A-Flight, I mean, I don't know what happened to them. I guess they just sort of disappeared, but the quality from those guys was just remarkable. And I've heard some people tell me that they are still around and that they are developing something, but if they are, there's absolutely no indication that they're still alive in their forums or on their website. It would be nice if they were working on something to tell people, hey, we're working on something, but we can't tell you what. I mean, I think that'd just be good to know they were still around, but you know, Helsinki was an airport that was a need for so long, and there was an excellent freeware that had been out for many, many years. But that was one particular airport that just needed the right touch, along with Arlanda. And the Arlanda was a independent developer project, and the developer has brought his project over to Orbix. So hopefully we'll finally get a proper Stockholm Arlanda. But my hopes are not up in terms of how long that project might take. I mean, I look at, I believe it's is it the Narvik scenery by Tor Strandon? He brought that project over to Orbix. But I don't know. I've kind of started to let my hopes drop a little bit that that airport's going to arrive this year. I don't know. I'm hopeful because every time I see screenshots, it looks like it's done, but then several more months lapse without updates. So in the case of Arlanda, you know, it could still be another 2 or 3 years away. Who knows? So I'm definitely hopeful to have that one as well. Another developer worth note is M-Design, who did that awesome Domodedovo scenery. So I mean, there's a lot of airports now in Eastern Europe. And of course, Budapest by LH Simulations. How could I leave them out? Actually, I think I changed my mind. I think Budapest to Warsaw, that's going to be my first flight. I think that's going to have to be my first flight. So all the night lighting, very well done. I'm going to take a look. I'm sure that some of you have some opinions as well of the scenery. I'm going to take a look at that in just a minute. I'm going to come down and take a look inside the terminal and see the night lighting from this perspective as well. Look at that. That is just very nicely done. That is just so incredibly well done. Another airport that comes to mind as well that I haven't mentioned is what's the name of that airport? It's going to come to me in just a second here. What's the airport that your airline did in the far north of Norway? I can't think of the name of it, but it's a really, really small airport. But that's another airport too that was done really well with the internal modeling that I was definitely impressed with. But this one right here, this one tops the cake. The only thing is just, you know, making the glass more apparent on the terminals. That's it. That's really the only real improvement this airport needs. Besides that, I mean, it is just beautiful. Another Eastern European, or actually, I don't even know if that'd be considered Europe. Yekaterinburg in Russia. I'm not really sure if we would consider that as part of Europe or not because it's so far east. But that's another favorite of mine. Wrote a really extensive review on that airport too. So that's another airport I'd be looking forward to pairing with Warsaw here. Just look at the photoreal texture application there. Again, nicely done. Nice building signage, and I love the way that that's lit up as well. I will never ever try to pronounce anything in Polish because I would just that would be a disgrace. That is just such a complex language. The same thing with Czech. Again, very, very complex languages. A lot of letters that are silent that are there, and a lot of letters that are pronounced that are not there. Looks very complicated. Let's take a look at those fences. Another thing I'm known to make a big deal about. I remember, I can't remember which Polish airport's project it was, but I had done a review on one of them, and I had pointed out that there were fences in some areas and fences not in some areas. And then the team went back in and put the fences in. That's one area I haven't had to gripe about with any developer lately. Everyone's putting the fences in now. I'm liking the floor textures there as well inside the terminal. I mean, just beautiful. Let's go back to daytime and try to get the winter textures going. If we can. Let's try February and now try to catch up on comments here really quickly as well. Let's see. Sorry, I think your screen is gone blank for just a second. Let's try February 2nd. You think there'll be plenty of snow in Warsaw on February 2nd? Oh, Tor Strandon is here. Oh my God. I was just talking about Tor. Yes, hint, hint. I'm really, really ready for Narvik. Yeah. You never know what developer might be watching. I have to watch my mouth. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people that are just dying to get their hands on that Narvik. And I know that when they get it, it'll be worth the wait. And by all means, I would never, ever want to encourage any developer to rush a scenery project, because I'll be the first one ripping it apart in my live stream. But, you know, the fact that I point it out in the way that I do is a good thing, because that's one of those best ones. And San's asking if I can check the Shift D animations. Stan, are you referring to... Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on the comments here. Stan, are you referring to the jet bridges by any chance? Because I am going to jump into an airplane and test the jet bridges, but... Shift D, check the Shift D Dreamliner. Okay, let me try that. I know that with my particular setup, because I run everything through FSUI PC, I do take away a lot of the controls away from Flight Simulator. Let me get control here. I do take away a lot of the controls from Flight Simulator, so it may or may not be slave to something, so I might have to fix that really quickly. But let me come down here and try Shift D, and let me just see if it works. So we're talking about the static Dreamliner, is that correct? Shift D. Let me just come around here really quickly. Let me see. I might have to slave that to something, but we'll find out in just a second here. Let's see. Actually, that's not going to work if it's paused, is it? Let's try that. Okay, here we go. I don't know if you guys can see that pop up on your screen or not. OBS is really weird when it comes to pop-up menus, but hitting Shift D opens up an action screen. One of them is open AMS Hangar door. 1, open AMS door Hangar 2, and number 3 is push out Dreamliner from Hangar. So we need to go to the Hangar. So it's not that Dreamliner, it's the one over at the Hangar. So let's go to the Dreamliner over at the Hangar. I have not read the manual yet, so thank you for pointing that out. Let's see here. Ooh, look at that. That is cool. Wow, check that out. Oh, I should have probably waited for the doors to open before I pushed the plane out. My fault. I broke the wings. Oh, look at that. There's a little truck pushing it back, too. Wow, check that out. That is cool. Okay, that is freaking cool. That is awesome. Oh, okay. All right. That was officially cool right there, what I just saw. That was cool. Okay, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Can we now put him back in the hangar? Let's try to put him back. Hang on a second. I gotta pause this helicopter because I'm all over the place with this thing. Okay, let me try to get the doors right here this time around. Hang on. That was cool. That was cool. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. Okay, hang on. Let me just pull back here just a little bit. Okay. All right, here we go. Hang on. Okay, so oops. Open hangar door 2. And you know what? Hang on. It's probably not going to do it unless I'm out of this mode. Okay, let me try that again. One. Huh. Oh, I guess they are open. San, is that correct? Is that as far as they open? Let's see. Let's just let them go back in real quick here. Because the hangar doors are actually not moving now that the plane is not in there. Oh, now they're moving. Hang on. Doggone it. What's going on here? Okay, let's back him up before we go through the door here. I don't know. It was taking the hangar doors a minute to... Okay, so now let's try this again. Okay, so... 1. That's so weird. They didn't want to close until he started moving. Okay, there we go. There it goes. Okay, there we go. Now he has enough space to get in there. Look at that. The landing gear even turns as he does it. That is pretty neat. And it's funny because in the Moscow scenery, I was saying, you know, how come he didn't animate the trains? He took that a step way further. Okay, now let's go back and close the doors. Okay, wait, I think it's 2. Is it 2? Wait, open 2. Oh, there it goes. Oh, no, wait. No, go back. Okay, 1. 3. No. 2. 2. There it goes. And so now the door should close, I think. Okay, and then close door 2, which is number 3. 3. Nope. No, go back. Ah. I don't know. It's kind of weird the way this is showing up here. Let me just switch really quickly over to the, because I don't know if you guys can see that little screen there. So let me just switch over to this mode for a second. Because it's actually a little bit confusing. Okay, so now the doors are in the closed position. Okay, so now we want to open the doors again. So we're going to try to open AMS hangar door 2. Okay, so that opens it. Okay, there we go. Good looking hangar, by the way. Okay, so that opens it. Those two guys in the corner watch me like, why is he screwing with the hangar doors? Okay, now we'll push in the Dreamliner. Or tow in the Dreamliner, rather. Okay. There he goes. Oh, it's door number 2 only. Okay, I was hitting door number 3. Because if I want to park my plane in there, then we can push him out and then I can park my plane. That is pretty neat. There we go. And then we're going to close door number 2. So we're not going to touch. Okay, so now. Okay, now he's parked. So now it should just be number 2, right? Now I pushed number 2, but the door didn't close. Close. Okay, there it goes. Okay, it just takes a second. There it goes. That's pretty neat. Check that out. That is awesome. Okay, I'm impressed with that. That is pretty awesome. This is why I should read the manual before I do live stream so I know everything that it comes with, huh? Okay, so Control Delta lets you get to play with that. That is really cool. And now we have some of the winter textures here now. And one of the things that I do point out that I don't like when it comes to winter textures from a number of developers is when they add the winter textures all look nice, but then there's no like snow spray on the ramp. Like the whole ramp areas, taxiway areas look too clean. Well, the ramp areas are fine, but the taxiway areas look too clean. And it's like, it's not like that in real life. You have snow that still runs over onto the ramp areas, and it's still a little bit white in color. And that is what was done here. And this is how it should look during snow, or during winter textures when there's snow. The snow should kind of flow onto the runway and flow onto the taxiways. And in many cases, I also like to see like sort of, you know, when the airplanes go through snow and they leave tracks, like snow tracks on the runways and taxiways. So this is how it should be done. So this was done very nicely. I hate when everything looks too clean, like the snow is perfectly swept up off the runways, because that's just not very realistic. Definitely A+ the way the snow was done here. And alternatively, that airport that I was talking about from Yo Airline that I still haven't figured out the name of it yet. Let me exit this menu. Tromsø, thank you. I just gave it to myself. I didn't even. But anyway, Tromsø. One of the things I really loved about the winter textures with Tromsø is there's actually snow buildup on the roof of the airport. So when you're flying over it in a helicopter or something like that, you can actually see that the roof is just packed and caked up with snow. So definitely impressed with the way the snow was done. I think now, let's see. Hopefully I'm not going to run out of memory. Let's switch over to our trusty Airbus and taxi around the airport and test out those jet bridges. Let's see here. So I'm going to come over here onto the runway. And I'm going to fire up the Airbus. We're going to cross our fingers and hope I don't run out of memory switching the airplane like that. Let's see how we do. Let's see here. Let's just turn around our airport. I have a birthday party to go to in about an hour, so I'm going to start to try to wrap this up here a little bit. Yeah, and then when I get back, I am flying, baby. This is going to be fun. Maybe I'll stream it. Okay, let's see here. All right, let's switch over to our little Airbus. Let's see. Let's switch back to that so you don't have to get stuck with the black screen. Select an Airbus vehicle. Captain Gumbo says, I belly land better than anyone else. In fact, Captain Gumbo's showing, talking about, my my horrible landings. I actually had an opportunity to go fly a level D motion simulator for the Gulfstream G450. And I got to tell you, that was incredible. So what does the instructor do? The second I'm rotating off the runway as I get an engine fire. Oh my gosh. That they call that thing a sweat box, and they call it that for a reason, because I was sweating my ass off. And for me, flight simulation was fun, and don't get me wrong, I did have fun in the Level D simulator, but to be absolutely honest with you, the amount of work when you're actually in the real thing like that, I was sweating. I mean, I was really sweating and working my ass off. There was like no time for fun. And my whole life, I kind of always wondered why real world pilots are not really all that interested in flight simulation. And now I know why. Now I know why. Why they don't find it fun. Because at the end of the day, they get home and they don't want to be bothered with it again. Of course, if I had the money, I'd buy a Level D simulator in a heartbeat. But when you have a failure and you've got to work to keep that airplane alive, like I was for a minute, because when you're in a Level D simulator like that, you actually kind of forget that it's not real. When you're in a simulator that is real, because it is the actual cockpit of the real aircraft. And you do feel the motions of what you would be feeling in real life, and you do hear the sound the way the sound was meant to be heard. It's almost, I don't want to say it's scary. It's not scary, because that's not really an accurate terminology. But where's my damn Airbus? What's taking so long here? But I do have to say, though, I mean, you do put in a hell of a lot of work. Oh, you know what? Did I uninstall it? I think I had to uninstall it. Ah, crap. I did uninstall it. Shoot. Or rather, it's not that I uninstalled it. It's that I didn't install it, because this is a new installation of Prepare 2.5. I don't think I installed it yet. I don't know where the thing is. Let me just grab... let me see. I know the Quality Wings Avro is in here somewhere. We'll just play with that. Lufthansa Regional. Let's do that. We'll do that for Captain Gombo. We'll put Lufthansa in here. All right. Let's hope we don't run out of memory, because I know I'm pushing my luck right now. Okay. Full screen. Oops. No, let's not go full screen. Let's do that first. There we go. Oops. But yeah, he threw a couple of failures at me, and you know, right when you're departing the runway and you lose your number 2 engine, the first thing that wing wants to do is, and don't get me wrong, what happened here? Oh, what? I was just flying this thing yesterday. God damn it. All right, excuse me, folks. All right, let me just I don't know what the hell's going on today. Sorry. Let's get rid of this screen here. Oh, what's going on here? I just need to push my eye point back a little bit. All right. I don't know what the hell's going on with this plane. I just did a lovely flight in this plane like the day before yesterday. And now my gauges are acting up. All right. So anyway, here is a flight deck without my gauges. I don't know what the hell happened there. So anyway, I didn't load up my Aerosoft. That's fine. For the sake of... let me just move this back here. For the sake of variety, we'll pull up the Avroliner for something different. And this gives you the proper eye point for the airport, because when you fly around in a helicopter like that, you're actually not really seeing the airport properly. That's more of a means to just show off the quality. But once you're down from the actual pilot's perspective, look at the way those touchdown zone markings are done. I don't think I've seen touchdown markings done like that before. Anyway, it gives you an idea to kind of see the airport from the pilot's perspective, which is really good. And Santa's saying, check my elevators. Yeah, something is wrong here. The whole thing is, something is not right. Oh, well, look at that. Yeah, that's fine. It's not like we're going to fly the thing anyway. We're just going to taxi around and take a look here. There's our main terminal over there. Oh, I'm just getting off the center line, aren't I? Let's see. We'll take this turn off here. Yeah, so when you do failures in something like the NGX or something like that, it just isn't the same because you cannot feel the aircraft. It's easy to recover because the rudder pedals and the yoke are not simulating the same level of hydraulics that you would be feeling in the actual airplane. In the actual airplane, the hydraulics get really, really heavy. And so you really have to, trim. So the first thing I had to do was my foot had to push the rudder all the way to the floor, the left rudder, because it was the right engine that went out. So I put my left foot, literally, like the muscles in my leg are starting to go out because the hydraulics of those rudder pedals are so strong, and the amount of effort it takes to push that rudder all the way full force. It's really, really heavy up against your legs. I mean, it's super heavy. Actually, I'm going to taxi around to the other side. I'm going through a gate here, which is kind of dumb. But so you've got to do that. Then you've got to keep the plane on course. Then you've got to reach back behind you and find the rudder trim and then start trimming that thing. And it happens so quickly. And that's the scary thing about it, because you got to keep the aircraft on course. But everything happens so damn fast. I mean, it does. It puts you in a sweat. And so the NGX, because it does incorporate the failures, it's a terrific add-on. But until someone starts delivering like level D type rudder pedals and yokes for home use, which of course would cost tens of thousands of dollars, but that's when you really get an idea and a real feeling of what it's like to recover from a failure like that. Am I even on the taxiway? What is this blue thing I'm on here? I am not paying attention at all to what I'm doing. Anyway. But yeah, I got to experience that, and I got to tell you, I was sweating my ass off. It's not easy. It is not easy. I do have some video of me doing it, but I cannot publish that, unfortunately. But if it's one thing, though, coming off a level D simulator and then back to my home simulator, it's like, ah! There is no comparison. Oh, crap. There's no gates available for me here. Oh, there's one. All right, here we go. Now, what kind of guidance system do I have to come in over here? Oh, I took that turn a little bit wide. I am like really pissed off at my quality wings right now. I don't know where my gauges are. Okay. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to go from the outside. Let's park it on the E170 spot. I think that's accurate enough. Is it Shift Juliet? Or, oh no, wait, no, it's Control D, isn't it? EPWA stand number 6. This is cool. So let me switch back to this other view here. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm going to switch back to this view only because, so when you park your aircraft at the gate, it actually knows what gate you're at. So in the SimObjects display engine, it automatically gives you your option for your gate, which is really neat. So you don't have to worry about this, the Control J, whatever. So that's push number 1. And you can choose which door. Dock to door 1 left or dock to door 1 left upper. So maybe that's for an A380. I don't know. But we're just going to go 1 left. Oh, it's out of range. Okay. Well, let's move it up a little bit more then. I'm not sure where I should be parking a Avroliner here, but it could be that the airplane's too low. I don't know. Let's try again. Control Delta and 1 and 1. No, it's still out of one. Let's see here. What is it saying? Jetway unable to dock. Because what now? Because target out of leg length range. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe I need to move up a little bit more. Oh, okay, it's not compatible with this airplane. All right, let me try another airplane then, because I want to show this. So let's risk another out-of-memory error, and let's put another airplane in here. I'm sorry. Okay, so give me 1 second. Let's see here. All right, we probably run out of memory at this point, but I'm going to try. All right, let's see. Let me try to catch up on some comments here. Let's see. Let's pick something else here. That's going to be big enough for this thing to park at. I don't know if that... let's see. Let me try... I do have like this freeware Airbus thing in here. Let's just see if this one will work. Since I don't have my Aerosoft installed, let's just see if it works. Let's see, Control D. Actually, wait, this is what, an A319? So A319 needs to go further up? Really? What's this other position back here? That's E170. Alright, so let me just slew that forward a little bit. Alright. Alright, now EPWA stand 611. There she goes. Well, she recognizes an Airbus when she sees one. Or sort of. Sorta, kinda. Not really. Yikes. Try A320. All right, let's go and let's see. Let's just keep pushing our luck until we run out of memory. Select. Maybe it's for the values of the Aerosoft Airbus and not this freeware stuff. I don't know if how different the I forget what you call it. Let's see. I think there's an A320 one in here for this. All right, let's try that. Let's see if this works any better. All right, let's go. Why does it say no dockable door available? Let me push off this gate. Or maybe we'll just go find another gate. Hang on. Let's just go through the terminal and park over here. Let's see. The engines are off, but let's see. A320 parking is where? A330, 763. So this is really a wide body gate, but it should still work. Let's just push this back a little bit further. Let's see. No, it's still, I think it still only wants to mention stand number 6, huh? Okay, 31 left. 31 Lima. Let's try that one. Dock to door 1 left. Oh, no, I didn't want that one. No. Shoot. Ah, damn it. It should have been right. My fault. Now that thing's going to try to cross all the way over there and go through the other jet bridge to try to dock to my airplane. That was not what I wanted to do. Still a little high, but that one was much better. Okay, now let me try to take that thing off and put the correct one on there. Okay, 13 left. Let's undock it. And now Control D, 13 right. Oh, wait. No, that's... Okay, let's let him get out of here first. Okay, so now he's out of here. Let's try this one more time. Control D. It's 13 Romeo. Dock to door, one left. There we go. Now let's see. This one. So the only thing here is just that I don't see it raising or lowering itself. It moves into position, but it's not sort of going up or down. That's kind of what I noticed on the other gate as well. So that's the only thing there. So they do work, but he's just not perfectly lining up with the door. I don't know if there's another aircraft I can load to kind of play with that a little bit more, but that is how those work. And okay, folks, so let me just try to get through the comments one last time. If there's anything, Stan, if you're still there, that I haven't shown off yet that I need to show, let me know now. If anyone has any questions for the scenery or any comments that I should echo, go ahead and put those in now as we start to wrap up here. I'm going to just... Oh, the animated elevators near the gates. No, I didn't see that. Flight Tampa put in an animated elevator with Sydney, and that just like completely blew my mind. So I would definitely want to find the animated elevator. Okay, hang on. Let me look for that. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me go through here. Animated elevator near the gates. We're just going to take our whole Airbus here straight through the terminal. And see where the animated elevators. Are they on the inside there, Stan? Let's see, you got escalators here. I'm assuming it's on the inside, but maybe it's outside somewhere. Like if I were an elevator, where would I be? Is that near the gates? Let me see. You have or is it outside? Sorry, let me scroll down. They're on the outside? Okay. Near the gates on the outside. You see here. I like these glass walkways, by the way, which is really cool. I am just like totally noobing out here, huh? Oh, is this it? Oh, is it on every gate? Oh, it is, huh? Oh, crap! How did I miss that? I totally missed that. Oh, that is cool. Oh, how did I miss that? I'm getting too close here. This is like a whole new thing now with the animated elevators. I think that's pretty fascinating for me. Let's go to another gate. Let's see. I guess it takes them a minute to move up and down. I want to try to get another one that's in motion. Oh, no, it's just certain gates. They don't all have that. I guess it's like these 3 center gates here. That was cool. Am I going to catch another one? I guess the way they're timed is pretty random. Okay, this guy's at the top here. Yeah, I guess they wouldn't go too often. That is pretty neat. I see, because the gates that don't have the stairways going down, they have these ones here. That is awesome. Here's a question. Actually, you know what? I think I just answered my own question. I'm guessing the reason why these things extend so far out, I'm just guessing that's like the walkway to get to the upper level. I'm guessing that's what it is. It's just a long walkway. I thought that was interesting. Oh, there he goes. You even have the elevator weight going up too. That is neat. I'm really loving all these new animations that developers are putting in their sceneries. That I like. That is really awesome. All right, so if you have any final questions or anything else that I missed, do let me know now. While I do that, I'm going to take this airplane. I'm going to take this airplane and I am going to park it in the hangar. Because I'm just like really dying to do that. Alright, so let's push this guy out again. This was just fun to play with. I had a lot of fun with this. Okay, so it's door number 2, right? There we go. I think. Oh, I think there's another door, isn't it? Ah, why do I keep getting confused here? There's another door. Oh, I'm sorry. I think he did say it takes a second for them to open. Oh, yeah. It takes a minute. Okay. I think that's it. And he's going to come out. I don't know. I'm trying to start the engines with the Control E on this piece of junk. I know it doesn't want to start, so. It's called Slew Taxi. Yay! And there we go. Now I've taken over the hangar. There we go. And now I'll close the doors around my airplane. There we go. All right, I'm just going to do one last check through the comments, everyone. And we need to find out how much this bad boy costs, don't we? Oh, did I just run out of memory? What happened there? There we go. Now we can close those doors on him. All right, and let's head over to the website. Let's see, full screen. And let's find out what this bad boy cost.